بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين وأفضل الصلاة وأتم التسليم على سيدنا وإمامنا وحبيبنا أبي القاسم محمد بن عبد الله وعلى آله وصحبه والتابعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين سبحانك لا علم لنا إلا ما علمتنا إنك أنت العليم الحكيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. I praise Allah Almighty and I send prayers and blessings upon Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, his noble family, righteous companions, and all those that follow them with right guidance until the day of judgment. Ameen. Glory be to you, O Allah. No knowledge have we except that which you have taught us. Indeed, you are the all-knowing, the all-wise. My dear brothers and sisters, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. We continue today, inshaAllah, with the thematic tafsir, tafsir al-mawdu'i. And what I'd like to do today is something of a practical exercise as well, and this is good. But this is not a workshop per se, but we're going to make it kind of like a workshop so that we can benefit from a lot of the theory that we talked about. And because sometimes we are forgetful and maybe some things, if you don't do continually, on a continuous basis, you start to forget. So allow me to refresh your memory. When we talked about tafsir al-mawdu'i, we discussed the different types of tafsir, and we also the different categories also, because we said it's not only different types of tafsir based on how you look at it. And we saw that there are several different types of categorizations, okay? And this was from that first introduction to a tafsir al-mawdu'i. I'm not sure if everyone was present then. When we came to a tafsir al-mawdu'i specifically, we said there are possibly two main types, all right? Under thematic tafsir, the first type is a fairly broad and general type, that is not restricted per se to tafsir alone. How? Meaning, anytime you take a certain topic, whatever that topic may be, and you try to analyze and understand it through the Quranic, whatever the Quran says, this is a type of tafsir mawdu'i. Though you may not be doing or partaking in tafsir. So if we take a certain topic now, whatever that topic may be, and we discuss it based on Quranic guidance, this is one type of thematic tafsir. So number one, just singling out a certain topic. All right? Based on Quranic guidance. So this you may not necessarily find in a book of tafsir. A lot of the current dissertations, masters and PhD, and Prof knows, are essentially a type of thematic tafsir. So someone will take a certain issue and they will analyze it throughout the Quran. And this will be their master's dissertation. This is a type of tafsir mawdu'i. Because they're not taking the tafsir of the Quran verse by verse, surah by surah. They're taking that topic, they're analyzing the Quran inductively to find wherever the Quran has mentioned this issue. So this is a type of thematic tafsir. Nowadays, and a lot of books that are written will tackle a certain topic throughout the Quran, based on what the Quran says. And maybe they will also add the Sunnah. But then it's becoming a little bit more broad. It's going out of the realm of tafsir, because it's not only through what the Quran says. Even though we consider that the Sunnah of the Prophet ﷺ is one of, and let's say even the second main way to understand the Noble Quran itself. But as we said, some books are titled whatever it is in the Quran. Okay? Today's khutbahs that you hear in the masajid are also very similar to this. And khutbahs were not always that way. When you see some of the speeches of the Prophet ﷺ, they're general. He'll talk about different things. He's giving advice to the ummah. So he'll talk about things that are ostensibly unrelated. Right? Talking about family matters, maybe talking about ibadah, hajj. But nowadays, we'll take a certain topic and we'll focus on it throughout the khutbah. The importance of family, right? And maybe I'll try to stick, or I'll mainly look at some of the Quranic verses on that topic. So that is also a type of tafsir mawdu'i. But then we said there's a second type, and this is to actually do tafsir, but with a thematic focus and flavor. But here we're not sticking to one topic per se, but trying to look at that surah or that set of verses, but with a thematic focus, as opposed to going verse by verse. And inshallah we'll try that today. You'll jump into thematic tafsir, or at least the type of thinking that will give rise to thematic tafsir of a chapter we will choose, inshallah. So, tafsir of a surah or part of, okay, with a thematic focus. All right? So now, very recently, you will find some publications, probably not many, of tafsir where they are focusing on the mawdu'i part. And within it, there is a tafsir of verse by verse. But again, the focus is a thematic one. What do we mean by a thematic focus? It means we're focusing on common themes. Common ideas. Within the chapter. Thematic tafsir, by virtue of focusing on the topic, also stresses the importance of connections and associations. So we'll take, let's say, a certain chapter. We'll try to find, what's the main theme of the surah? Is it one main theme or several? Are those main themes connected? How are they connected? The concept of connections and associations is very important in thematic tafsir. By virtue of focusing on the topic, since we're focusing on the topic, the main ideas, how is that all connected? All right? And those connections may go beyond the connections between the themes and ideas. Meaning, Surah A, Surah B, Surah C. So you have this surah here in the middle. Now, I told you before, the issue of connections and associations is a hot topic of debate. Okay? And to what extent do those connections and associations exist? But in Tafsir Mawdu'i, we presume that they exist on several levels. Those connections and associations we'll find within the surah itself, amongst the verses of the surah, between the preceding surah and the next one as well, according to the opinion that the order of the chapters is also not only by ijtihad, but rather that it is something that is part of wahi. But that is a hotly debated issue. Is the order of the surahs as per wahi from Allah, from revelation? Or is it the ijtihad of the Sahaba that they put them in that order? Different groups have different opinions. Based on the opinion that it is part of wahi, then we should try to find the wisdom behind those connections and that order that you have. So why did Surah B come after Surah A? What are the connections? How is it also connected to Surah C? And I chose a chapter where that connection is rather salient, as we will see. So that'll make it a little bit easier for us. All right? Otherwise, it might be quite difficult. Depends. It depends on how deep we go as well. So connections and associations, you know what this means, right? What is it? Same, right? Repetition. I don't need to write again, especially because of the beauty of my handwriting. So connections and associations between the chapters themselves, between the surahs. I need to stop this intro because we need to get into the surah soon. Then, possibly connections and associations with the name of the surah. Again, with the assumption that the names of the surahs are also part of revelation. And that is also debated. That may also be from the ijtihad of the Sahaba. But it's debated, and that's not our focus today. So, connections and associations with the surah name. By virtue of the thematic focus, we will also look at Asbab al-Nuzul, even though that's part of regular tafsir as well. But it's very important in the thematic tafsir. Why? Because reason of revelation is just that. It's clarifying the reason for which that verse was revealed. And there are quite a few verses in the Quran where without knowing the reason of revelation, you might not quite understand the true meaning and the spirit of why that verse was revealed. Or what is the meaning behind it. Quite a number of verses. Once you know the reason of revelation, and it's official and it's authentic, becomes perfectly clear. Okay? So there's a stress on that as well. Any questions here before we begin? Yeah? Everyone has their Qur'ans? Their phones rather. The phones with the Qur'ans. Is this a Qur'an, brother? What if I put the Qur'an here? Is it a Qur'an then? No? Yes, brother, you had a question. This is not a matter of debate. This is certain. The arrangement of verses within surahs, this is wahi 100%. Absolutely. Clear? We're talking about order of surahs themselves, not verses within surahs. No. That is by consensus. Okay? Brother, can we get a bottle of water or something? Please. طيب. Can I erase this? Turn to Surah Al-Duha. Jazakallah khair. Turn to Surah Al-Duha. Read it. Think about it. Reflect over it for the next few minutes. Is everyone fairly familiar with the general tafsir of Surah Al-Duha? Yes, no, maybe so. Somewhat. Somewhat, right? And if you do have a fairly good idea of the general tafsir, now try to think about it with the elements of focus that we put here for thematic tafsir. If you have a question about a verse or the general meaning, whose answer will help you to do this better in the next few minutes, you can ask now. Yes, brother.
First verse and the second verse. By seeing it as the creation of Allah.
What is it?
Allah's creation.
Allah's creation. And Allah is taking an oath by it, right? And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala takes an oath by whatever He wills of His creation. And interestingly, of that which is not His creation. How? Anything that is not Allah's creation? Everything is Allah's creation. But He swears by something which is not His creation. Not by time. Trick question. Trick question. Let your brains work with that one. You need another few minutes? Wa alaikum salam. Another few minutes thinking about this? Another few minutes? Or you're ready? I see the sisters are still busy. What's that? Al-Layl, okay. All right. Okay. All right, so this may be the connection between Al-Duha and the chapter preceding it. What else? Okay, ready? Before we start jotting down what could be the main themes of the surah, What's the main overarching idea, possibly related to reason of revelation for Surah Al-Duha? Cameraman can answer also if he wants.
Duha is a surah that revealed at the time when the Prophet was so very depressed.
Very sad.
Sad.
Yes.
And Allah
Why was he sad?
console.
MashaAllah. Indeed. Why?
Because it's really happy.
Revelation stopped.
Okay, excellent. So it's a reference to the halt in Revelation. Excellent. So this is the reason of revelation. What is it? Right. Okay. The halt in Revelation. Of course, temporarily. Right? It's not a complete halt. So, the Prophet ﷺ, as the narration mentions, did not get up for Qiyam for several days. So, this cursed lady came to him and said, I think that your shaitan has finally left you. So they considered whenever the Prophet ﷺ was worshipping or reciting Quran, it was as if, it was some touch of the devil, or something of that nature. So when he didn't, and he didn't get up for Qiyam because he was tired or sick, so she came and said this. And the lady who said this, as other narrations clarify, is Jamil, the wife of Abu Lahab, right? Whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala cursed, as in Surah Al-Masad. Okay? So this was the reason of revelation. When she said that the shaitan has left you, your shaitan has left you, and people started talking about this, and news came to others that he's no longer talking to whoever he was talking to, all right? Because in the narration of the lady, this is a reference to his qiyam. But at the same time, we know that the revelation stopped. And this became known. And the kuffar started saying, Allah has left you. Allah has forsaken you. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala responded with the same terms and negated that and said, مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى. Neither has he forsaken you, and neither is he angry with you. Yes, brother.
Is the second revelation, right?
Which one?
Duha
Yes?
is the second revelation.
What do you mean? The second surah to be revealed.
To the Prophet. Because
Okay.
this one, then it took like very long time.
All right.
Then
How long?
some narrations say months, 6 months, 7 months.
Uh-huh.
So
All right.
he thought that Allah was angry.
Okay, so how did you come to the conclusion that it's the second surah to be revealed?
Because it was after the first surah is
Iqra.
Iqra, right?
So after it is Duha.
That's what for my knowledge, I just clarifying.
That's what?
For my knowledge.
Okay, no problem.
Clarifying.
Other students agree? No? No, it's not the second surah. Uh-huh. Third surah? Fourth surah? Don't know, but it's not the second. Uh-huh. But he said it's clearly after the halt in Revelation. So, does it necessarily mean it's the second? So, Iqra and maybe other surahs were revealed, and then there was the halt in Revelation. Oh, now you're bringing another issue. A more difficult issue. Wait on that one. Wait on that. So, The second, he's saying it's after the halt in revelation. Clearly it is. And Allah is saying, مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى. So it's the first revelation after the halt. We agree? All right. We're coming to this issue. But it is clearly the first one after the halt in revelation. But that doesn't necessarily mean it's the second, as we said, because maybe other surahs were revealed after Iqra, and then there was the halt, and then Surah Al-Duha was revealed. But then the brother told us, doesn't the hadith mention that the first chapter is Al-Muddathir? In fact, not only the first chapter, or rather the first chapter after the halt, the hadith mentions the first chapter. So then the Sahabi said, I thought the first thing that was revealed was Iqra. And then he responds, yes brother, battery? Where? Which one? Here in my battery? So, if the Sahabi said the first chapter to be revealed, then he said, what about Iqra? So he said, I am relating to you what I heard from the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. The understanding is, and the other narration clarifies this, and allow me not to go into that detail. I'll go into that detail when we do tafsir of Surah Al-Muddathir, all right? If we ever get to it. But for the sake of time and getting back to Al-Duha, take it from me, the hadith is mentioning that the first chapter after the halt in revelation, not the first chapter to be revealed, because by consensus the first chapter to be revealed is Iqra. The first one after the halt in revelation is Al-Muddathir. So how do we now reconcile that with Al-Duha? This is why, Wallahu A'lam, the correct opinion, and this was mentioned by Ibn Ashur in his tafsir as well, is that there were two halts in revelation. And maybe more. But we know at least that there are these two. The first one is the one where Al-Muddathir was revealed afterwards, where the narration mentions that the Prophet ﷺ saw Jibreel in his real angelic form for the first time. And it was very scary, right? And he ran to his wife and he said, Zammiluni, Zammiluni, or Dathiruni, Dathiruni, and then, Ya ayyuhal muddathir, or you, the one who's covered up, was revealed. So this is after the first halt. And these narrations are authentic. So this is after the first one. But Al-Duha is after the second. And that clarifies the issue very much. Otherwise it can be quite confusing. So it seems after Al-Muddathir, many chapters were revealed, maybe 7 or 8 chapters. Then there was another halt in revelation. And then Al-Duha was revealed. We know that he was very sad after the first halt. And we know that he was very sad after the second as well. But where does the confusion arise? Because of this. Because we have مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى, the very clear solace that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is giving the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, negating any possibility that he has forsaken him or that he is angry with him. And then immediately we associate that with the first halt in the revelation. Why do the halts in revelation happen? Even though it's very saddening for the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Different reasons, different ijtihads. But the common one is that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is doing so in order to give him some respite. Because the revelation is not easy. Receiving the revelation is not easy. It's heavy. إِنَّا سَنُلْقِي عَلَيْكَ قَوْلًا ثَقِيلًا. It's a heavy speech. Even physically, it was taxing for him when he was receiving the revelation. Alright? Yes, brother. Still, another one? So, Ad-Duha. And he was so saddened by it. There is another narration that Khadija radiallahu anha also said to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, your Lord has left you because of your sadness, your despair after the halt and revelation. Ibn Hajar al-Asqalani accepts that narration as authentic and says that both said it, Khadija said it as well as the wife of Abu Lahab, but with one caveat. The wife of Abu Lahab was saying it and she was proud and exhilarated that such was happening, but Khadija was saying it out of sadness and pain as well, that the revelation stopped. God forbid that she would be speaking like the wife of Abu Lahab, not at all. And she's the one who supported him and strengthened him from the very beginning. So that is definitely not the case, right? So, but Ibn Kathir says the narration of Khadija, wallahu a'lam, is not correct. Now, the Prophet ﷺ was so saddened, the revelation stopped for a long time. You said, how long? Many months? Seems more like days. And that's what seems to make sense when you take the different narrations. Yes, there are some narrations, some of them are weak, but especially this second halt seems to have been just a few days. Ibn Ashur defends the opinion that it was 12 days. But despite that, it was very saddening for the Prophet ﷺ. And saying, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells him that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not forsaken you and is not angry with you, number one, He's strengthening him, He's giving him an argument against his enemies, and He is putting his heart at ease that the halt and revelation is not related to your status with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Your status is untouched. So it was the best solace that he could receive after the revelation stopped. وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swore, took an oath by the duha, the day, the early day, okay, the early time of the day, and then the night when it covers. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not left you. And Allah azza wa jal, whenever He takes an oath, it's to confirm some important idea afterwards. وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى مَا وَدَّعَكَ رَبُّكَ وَمَا قَلَى. Allah has not left you. Don't let them dissuade you or convince you or make you feel that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has somehow left you. Absolutely not. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was giving the Prophet ﷺ some respite. Now, connections and associations. The sister said, the chapter before is Surah Al-Layl, right? And the chapter after is Ash-Sharh. And here we have Ad-Duha. Here, he swore by the night. Here he swore by the day. The wisdom? Why didn't he swear by the night here? Or before that, let's take the easier one first. Why did he swear by the night and the day? In different parts of the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala swore by the life of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Right? Could have been here, because the focus is on the Prophet and his status sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So let's try to understand. No. The day and the night. Why the day and the night? Tafsir mawdu'i. Changes. How?
Day and night. This changes.
Okay.
Light as well as energy.
Okay. Excellent. Very nice. So, the constant change, right? So, the changing of the day and the night, right? Absolutely. This could be a reference to the halt in revelation, right? That the halt in revelation does not mean anything, does not in any way reduce or diminish your status, O Muhammad. It is simply the change of times, because nothing is constant, just like the day and the night. Excellent. That can also apply to ease and hardship. So, there's no reason that there be constancy in the wahi. Allah did it for a wisdom that He knows. And at the same time, ease and hardship in life is like the night and the day. Beautiful. This is one of the things that, the nice ideas that Al-Mawdudi mentioned in his tafsir. Okay? This idea of the constant change of the day and the night. Alright? Very nice. What else? I'll give you a hint. He starts with the day and then the night. In Al-Layl, he starts with the night and then he mentions the day. We might say that the day is a reference to light, the light of revelation. When the wahi first came to the Prophet ﷺ, and then with the night time representing or symbolizing the halt in revelation. And the night, darkness, halt in revelation. Yes? Another meaning that, beautiful meaning that Al-Mawdudi mentioned is just like, and maybe he's taking this from the other ayah, where Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said that if He had made all time 24-hour, 24/7 daytime, who would bring about the darkness of night for you to rest? And if Allah made it all darkness, who would bring about the daytime for you? But out of the wisdom of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, He made the day and the night. Similarly, if you were constantly receiving the revelation, that would be harmful for you. Just a minute. You see? And if it was all a halt in revelation, obviously that would be even more harmful, not having the revelation in the first place. So Allah made it for you like the day and the night. Again, this confirming the idea that we said that the wisdom behind it is giving the Prophet ﷺ a time of respite. Yes, sister.
Now, how do you explain to people who live in the land of the midnight sun?
You mean in the Scandinavian countries? Yeah, they have less. So they are the ones who understand the importance of the change of the night and the day best. Maybe you should tell them to migrate to Malaysia. Right? So this constant changing is a mercy from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Similarly, the halt in revelation can be viewed as such. Did I write it? No. So, importance of constant switching or changing of the night and the day. Night and day, enough. All right? وَالضُّحَى وَاللَّيْلِ إِذَا سَجَى. So, here, he started with al-layl, then he came to the day, the connection of the day and the night, very clear. If we wanted to find the connection, the association between Surah Al-Layl and Surah Al-Duha. Another quite interesting one. Al-Layl includes verses that were revealed about Sayyidina Abu Bakr radiyallahu anhu. Almost attributing Surah Al-Layl to Abu Bakr and Surah Al-Duha to the Prophet ﷺ. They are the night and the day. Abu Bakr and the Prophet ﷺ.
You're saying that
Yes.
Abu Bakr is referred as a night?
No, not. We're talking about just the connection between the day and the night, and the way the night immediately follows the day, and the day follows the night. We have this unbreakable connection between the Prophet ﷺ and Sayyidina Abu Bakr. This might be, again, this is ijtihad. I mean, we are doing tadabbur of these verses. We're trying to understand the wisdom, some of these connections and associations. Connections and associations, there's a lot of ijtihad. And that's why the famous Mufassir, Imam al-Biqa'i, who focused on this a lot, got a lot of heat, because of it. Some agreed with him, others disagreed. In some places, he might have, not necessarily found the correct opinion, maybe gone a little bit too far. But in other places, he came up with amazing ideas. Because he reflected on this a lot, these connections and associations, and others as well. But he was one of the first to dedicate a whole tafsir for these types of connections, verse by verse. His tafsir is a full tafsir, not a thematic tafsir per se. But his focus was the connections. Why this verse after this? Why this set of verses after these? Why this chapter after that? طيب. What about the connection of al-duha and al-sharh? Quite obvious, right? أَلَمْ نَشْرَحْ لَكَ صَدْرَكَ وَوَضَعْنَا عَنْكَ وِزْرَكَ. Right? Yes, you can read, brother. Brother Muhammad. أَلَمْ نَشْرَحْ, you have it? Now, yes, brother, he's going to read the translation. Go ahead, brother, go ahead.
Okay, first ayah.
Yes?
Have we not opened your breast for you, O Muhammad sallallahu alaihi
Opened your breast, your chest, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, yes?
wasallam, and removed from you your burden,
Yes.
which weigh down your back,
It's so clear, right?
and raise high your fame.
Yes. So Allah Azza wa Jal removed his burden, raised his status. This was the ultimate burden for the Prophet ﷺ. You think he cared about this dunya? He was most concerned about this. This was the major concern. Why did the revelation stop? Why isn't Jibreel not coming back to me anymore? That was the thing that gave him comfort. Meeting with Jibreel. Getting the verses of Allah. Many times verses that were directly concerning him. And what he was facing. And what he was hearing from his enemies. This was the ultimate solace. And suddenly it stopped. So this surah just gave the Prophet ﷺ such strength, right? Such assistance. And does the same for every Muslim, as we will see. And that's why Sayyid Qutb rahimahullah, when he begins with this surah, he said that this surah, Ad-Duha, in its topic, in its expressions, in its scenes, and in its shade, is simply a breeze of mercy, and a touch of affection, and an inundation of love. Beautiful words. That's what Surah Al-Duha was. Any of you here are Huffaz, Hafiz of the Quran? Don't worry, brother. Inshallah, it will not affect your ikhlas. You did not memorize it to tell us that you are Hafiz here. Anyone Hafiz here? No? No? Brother? No? Sister? Okay. If you recite the Quran as part of getting the ijazah of the Quran, once you get to Surah Al-Duha and you stop, after you recite every surah after Al-Duha, you say Allahu Akbar. So you're reciting the whole Quran, you're going one surah after another, you get to Al-Duha, you end Al-Duha, you say Allahu Akbar. Then Bismillahir Rahmanir Rahim, Alam Nashrah Laka Sadrak. End of the surah, Allahu Akbar. Next surah, until the end of the Quran. Why? Yes, the khatma. This is, many of the Qurra will do this. Many of the Imams will do this. That's the way I did it, and that's the way I teach as well. We say Allahu Akbar after Al-Duha and after every chapter until you get to the end of the Quran. Al-Imam Al-Farra says, this is because when Al-Duha was revealed, the Prophet ﷺ said, Allahu Akbar.
So before Al-Duha?
No. After Al-Duha. Other scholars said this narration does not have a sanad. So it is not necessarily authentic. That this is what the Prophet ﷺ used to do. However, it makes perfect sense that that happened. with the level of sadness the Prophet ﷺ felt after the second halt in revelation, finally when Ad-Duha was revealed, what else is he going to say? Hallelujah? He's going to say Allahu Akbar. When in the battles something would happen, when in Al-Khandaq he saw those great glad tidings, Allahu Akbar, futihat this, and when he was talking about the conquest of Ash-Sham and so on and so forth, he would say Allahu Akbar with everyone. It makes perfect sense that after, when this surah was revealed, he said Allahu Akbar. And Imam al-Shafi'i, as in one narration, when he saw someone doing this, the takbir after Ad-Duha and after every other surah, he said, this is the sunnah. This is what we do. It's very clear why that would be, right? Because this was the ultimate solace for the Prophet ﷺ after the halt in revelation. ما ودعك ربك وما قلى وللآخرة خير لك من الأولى ولسوف يعطيك ربك فترضى. Allahu Akbar. One glad tiding after another, right? What else did you come up with in your deliberation? Are we starting to get the main themes and topics now? So we can list them? The connections and the associations we inspected. We talked about Asbab al-Nuzul. We talked about the connection association between the chapter and the one before it and the one after it. We talked about possibly the connection to the name of the surah, Ad-Duha, the daytime, the dawn, right? This is the best time, the very early morning. This could be symbolism of the revelation itself. And then the darkness being the halt in revelation, right? So this could be related to the name of the surah. Other connections and associations that you see? Main themes, topics, things that you came up with as you were deliberating over the surah? What else do you want to say? Themes? You want to jot down some themes? Can we erase this now? Can we erase it? Yeah? Not yet? Take the picture. Yes, brothers and sisters, what else did you come up with? After that, the next section is a beautiful one, and we need to deliberate over it. Of course, again, we're not doing verse by verse. Otherwise, I would explain every single one. It's beautiful. But now we're trying to look at it thematically, right? But all of these verses are strengthening the Prophet ﷺ, bolstering his confidence. And indeed, the hereafter is better for you than the present life. And verily your Lord will give you all good so that you shall be well pleased. Did he not find you, O Muhammad, an orphan, and he gave you refuge? And he found you unaware, and he guided you. And he found you poor, and he made you rich. To the end of and the chapter continues, right? This seems to be a section also, these verses. Starting with these questions. Did he not find you this? Did he not find you that? How do we connect those two sections? So you have the first few verses, 1, 2, 5, right? The confirmation, or we can call it confirmation of Allah's being pleased with His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, right? Okay. Glad tidings. Right? Can even say here, restarting of revelation, right? What about the rest? 6 to 11. Set of questions. So we see, we have 3 questions, right? ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى ووجدك ضالا فهدى ووجدك عائلا فأغنى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر وأما السائل فلا تنهر وأما بنعمة ربك فحدث. 3 questions, 3 commands, right? Interesting. Ya Allah. Allah's what? Ihsan. So, in 6 to 11, Allah is talking about His ihsan to His Prophet ﷺ. Absolutely. What else? Connections, brothers and sisters? Relations? This is very important. Only looking at 1 to 5 may seem to indicate that this is specific to the Prophet ﷺ. And part of it is because when we're talking about revelation, that is specific to him ﷺ. But the idea that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has not forsaken you, is not angry with you, may not necessarily be specific to him alone. It may apply to everyone who goes through something similar to what the Prophet ﷺ did. If the Prophet, and he is the best of humanity, went through such a difficult time, went through this period of, what shall we call it? Period of reflection, sadness, uncertainty, that's probably the best word, uncertainty about things. Why did the revelation stop? What's going to happen? Is Allah angry with me? We all have those feelings. If He's the best of humanity and He went through that, of course you and I will go through that as well. Is this surah a solace as well? I'm hinting now. If these verses seem to indicate that it's specific to the Prophet ﷺ, these verses show that they are not. Again, with respect to the fact that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is with us Allah loves us, inshallah. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala wants to help us. Allah wants to strengthen us. Allah only wants what's best for us. Right? Sometimes we also get into that. And we feel Allah has forsaken us. Or we feel that I'm no longer anything in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. I have fallen from grace. Right? I think a lot of people maybe went through that or feel that sometimes. And it's definitely one of the things the shaitan would like to convince us of. Because would be one of the most important tools to dissuade people and move them and distance them from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So what is that connection? How do we see that it is not necessarily specific to the Prophet ﷺ? You read these verses? Has not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala found you an orphan? He gave you refuge. Didn't He find you dal, misguidance? Why? Misguided how? The Prophet ﷺ was dal, as in, God forbid, he was doing what the kuffar were doing? No, he never worshipped an idol. He never prostrated to an idol or anything other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But in the sense that he was not on and he did not know the reality of Tawheed as per Islam, the guidance of Islam. He was not on that guidance yet. He didn't know what the book or the Quran was. وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًّا فَهَدَى. So He guided you to Islam, to the specifics. Otherwise, in general, in terms of Tawheed, He is a muwahhid. He's the leader of the muwahhideen, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. But to the specifics of Islam, of the Quran, of all this, you were ignorant. You did not know about any of this. Allah is mentioning His favor upon His Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And He found you poor, so He sufficed you and He gave you. So how can we connect it? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is reminding the Prophet ﷺ of His favors upon him in the past. Reminding him of a time when he was not as obedient as he is now. The one who took care of you when you were an orphan, when you were not guided, when you were not made the messenger of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, when you were not enjoying the blessings of Allah and the bounty that He has given you now, the one who took care of you then is going to take care of you now. The one who did not forsake you then will never forsake you now. You see that? The one who was with you then, when was the Prophet ﷺ more deserving of Allah's favor? Here in the past, or after he received the revelation and he transmitted the message in the best way possible? When is he more deserving of that favor? After. But Allah gave it to you even before. So why would He deprive you of it now? Allah gave it to you then, and you were not upon the guidance that you are now. And you were not the messenger, the final seal of the messengers, peace be upon them all. Yet Allah took care of you as an orphan when you had no one. The Prophet ﷺ was taken care of from one person to another, starting with his mother and then his grandmother, and then his uncle. The one who did not forsake you here will not forsake you now. Don't have these thoughts. And by Allah, this applies to every one of us. You and I were God knows where. And Allah cast His favor upon us and brought us. Maybe we were born Muslim. How many here were born Muslim? Raise your hand. Everyone. But do you agree with me that we all had our period of Jahiliyyah? Period where we were far away. We had nothing to do with who we are now. Right? And Allah was there for us. Allah took care of us. Allah cast favor upon us. Allah brought us to where we are today. If He was with us then, when we were not deserving of that favor and bounty, will He leave us now when we are doing our utmost, insha'Allah, to gain His pleasure, to gain His mercy? So this section is almost like the reasoning behind ما ودعك ربك وما قلى. The halt in revelation is not due to some kind of relegation in your status. Nothing of the sort. Think about where you were before. As an orphan, as someone who didn't know the religion of Islam as it is today. You were not a messenger, right? You didn't know anything about the revelation or the Quran. أَلَمْ يَجِدْكَ يَتِيمًا فَآوَى وَوَجَدَكَ ضَالًا فَهَدَى وَوَجَدَكَ عَائِلًا فَأَغْنَى فَأَمَّا الْيَتِيمَ فَلَا تَقْهَرْ. So with that, we know that it's not only specific to the Prophet ﷺ. This is a guiding principle. Look at your past to understand your present and your future. Based on these came the 3 commands. Right? Thus, do not oppress the orphan. Right? And do not repel or be impulsive with the one who comes to you asking. Okay? Asking for what? Could be for money, as a beggar. I don't know if your translations also have beggar. Seeking knowledge. Yeah. Another possibility. And maybe even a probability, in my opinion. And proclaim the grace of your Lord, the favor of your Lord. وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. The 3 commands. Now, brothers and sisters, themes. If we were to talk about the themes of the surah, at least if we try to think about the main theme, what could the main theme be? Let me erase this so we have a little bit more. We tried to see the connection, the association. Main themes. Thematic tafsir. Yes, Prof.
We should always be hopeful for the favors of Allah.
Okay, very nice. Always remember favors of Allah. By the way, this in itself is a favor and a blessing. That we can remember and say, yes, Allah blessed me with His favors and His bounty, though I did not deserve it, though I was not on the straight path as I should be, right? Because I'm sure you know people who do not see it that way. Maybe who are distanced from the religion by the very fact of their past. Maybe they had a difficult life. May Allah keep us firm upon the deen. Maybe they had a difficult life, and therefore they blame the religion, God forbid, or they blame Allah for their difficult life. So just looking upon our past, our history, and remembering those favors and savoring them is a favor in itself and a blessing in itself. And God knows the ones who are going through those difficult times, and maybe throughout their life have experienced that, have a harder time. So alhamdulillah that we are here. God forbid that if I lived that very difficult life and that was something that was beyond me or very difficult to handle, who knows what that might have done to the deen, to my deen, right? What else? Themes. If we were to try to, so we're going to mention a bunch of themes, but what if we if we wanted to mention one overarching theme for the whole surah, what would it be? Very nice. Maybe hope. We called it like a main theme, we'll write it here, though it should have been on the top. Hope, symbolized by the name, Ad-Duha, light, the morning, right? A new start, a fresh beginning. Hope to those who are depressed, having a hard time, who are living a period of uncertainty, right? What else? What other possibilities? What's that?
The light of life.
The light of life. Okay, very nice. Based on the name, huh? The future is bright. Indeed. He said to the Prophet ﷺ, right? وَلَلْآخِرَةُ خَيْرٌ لَكَ مِنَ الْأُولَى. This may be a reference that the al-akhirah we know, the hereafter, is better for you than the dunya. This is why the Prophet ﷺ, his last concern was the dunya. He was living for an akhirah. But in another tafsir of the ayah, it could also be a reference to al-akhirah, meaning whatever comes to you in the future. That whatever is in your future is better for you than your present. And that was the case for him, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, the future is better. Future is bright. Okay?
Never give up.
Never give up. Alright? As a main theme or as number 2? Alright?
Never give up on Allah.
On Allah. Especially on Allah. Alright? Nice. Very important. What else?
Ask. Ask Allah.
Ask Allah. For? Dua. So here, they might be a little bit more specific. So we can mention, okay, that one of its themes is that the main reason of revelation, which is the halt in revelation, that the halt in revelation does not relegate the status of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That's why the chapter was revealed, right? So, but this is obviously specific to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. So, halt, or even we can say, which one?
To explain the halt.
Yeah. Halt in revelation, not an indication of Allah's anger or displeasure, right? Allah never forsakes His slave servants. Allah doesn't leave us, we leave Him. In the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, Allah does not get bored, obviously in a way that it befits Him, until you get bored. Otherwise you can keep asking and calling on Him. It's not like human beings. You know, if I ask the brother the first time, tell me, sure Shaykh, no problem. Second time, yeah, of course. Third time, Shaykh is asking a lot. Fourth time, what's going on? Allah is not like that. Keep calling on Allah. You keep going to Allah, He's there for you. Remembering one's past. And Allah's bounty. What else? Which one? Tawakkul, having reliance on Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Which one? Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. Could it be like, maybe with Allah, ask Allah dua, let's say, tawakkul. ألم يجدك يتيما فآوى فأما اليتيم فلا تقهر. Very early on, Surah Al-Duha might be the 11th chapter. Not the second, the 11th. Okay. After Iqra and Al-Muddathir, about 8-9 chapters, and then Surah Al-Duha. So, very early on, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is teaching us about the importance of the lower echelons of society, not necessarily the upper ones. The less fortunate. This is the way you build that society. The ones who are doing well for themselves. The other ones are the ones who need help. Very early on, he's establishing this concept, okay, this principle. Remember those who are less fortunate. Be there for them. Do not oppress the orphan. Be nice, treat whoever is asking whenever needs you, whether it's knowledge or he needs money or financial assistance. Be there for them. Be there for those, for that class of people, that category. The Prophet ﷺ said in the authentic hadith, Allah will bring about the victory for you through those types, the weakest of you. إِنَّمَا تُنصَرُونَ بِضُعَفَائِكُمْ. By their dua, they're the ones who are truly in need. Allah may answer their dua. Their dua is more sincere than some of ours, because we are doing, we are living our lives. Some of us are maybe forgetful of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Those people who are experiencing adversity, maybe on a daily basis, and still patient, haven't lost hope in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, those are the types. They need attention in the society. Very early on in Mecca, Allah is establishing this principle. In a time when no one could care less about those types, let them go to hell. Allah is telling the Prophet ﷺ, you were in that position. Remember them. This is in general, in the society. And more specifically for the depressed. You're depressed? You're having a difficult life? Go look at those people. Look at the ones less fortunate than you. As the Prophet ﷺ said, don't look at the ones above you, look at the ones below. Right? Those are less fortunate. I remember one part in my life, we used to visit like an orphanage. And but here a lot of some of them are not necessarily orphans, but orphans for all practical purposes, because their parents put them in this center because they cannot handle them, because they're handicapped. You see that and you say, Allahumma lakal hamd. And no matter what I experience, I am inundated with the blessings of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Right? Look at those less fortunate, remembering the less fortunate. Right? Put yourself in their shoes. He's telling the Prophet ﷺ, you were there. So therefore, you best understand their plight. وَأَمَّا بِنِعْمَةِ رَبِّكَ فَحَدِّثْ. Mention, remember the favors of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Any other themes you want to add?
Question that when the Prophet was lonely, Allah realized that Prophet is in need of guidance.
Right.
That is the indication.
Again, I didn't quite understand that Allah.
At that point when the Prophet feel very lonely.
Yeah, Allah gave him the.
Allah gave him the guidance immediately.
Right. So maybe the fact that Allah's solace, Allah's solutions to our problems are very close. They will not always be distant. Basically, the basic concept of Surah Al-Sharh. إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا فَإِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا إِنَّ مَعَ الْعُسْرِ يُسْرًا. With difficulty comes ease, right? Difficulty never continues, right? Prosperity and adversity are not permanent. Right? In the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala smiles or laughs. Again, in a way that is befitting of His magnificence. Why? Because He sees the level of our despair, and He knows that the relief is going to come very soon. We don't know, but He knows. Anything else? So now you might be thinking, we just did tafsir of the whole surah, not only thematic. Maybe kind of, but no, we didn't get into the details of each ayah and what we might say about it, some linguistic issues, maybe talking about certain words or expressions. Yeah, but this is, here we were focusing more on the overarching themes and topics and connections. Is it a little bit clearer now, inshallah, what we're talking about when we talk about Tafsir Mawdu'i? جزاكم الله خيرا وبارك فيكم وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين والحمد لله رب العالمين. Any questions or comments? So now we can publish this as Tafsir Mawdu'i of the PMP participants, right? This is what we came up with here. Any questions or comments, brothers or sisters? Yes, brother, go ahead. Just let me take a better picture of this. You'll send it to me? Oh, my camera's better. I'm just kidding, brother. Just pulling your leg. Okay, yeah, brother, tell me.
When we are praying Isha,
Yes.
we like to use these two surah. Duha for the first rak'ah.
In Isha or in Maghrib?
Isha.
In Isha. Okay, who's we? Huh?
Our regular
Imams in mosques where? Here in Malaysia? I prayed Isha several times. Here at Duha. But this is like a trend, basically.
It's such as reciting this surah during Isha and first rak'ah and second rak'ah. It's just like loving the Prophet. Love to them.
Okay, sallallahu. But then, same with Ash-Sharh, yeah, Al-Duha and Ash-Sharh, right? Alayhi salatu wassalam. You might say the same about Taha. Taha ma anzalna alayka al-Qur'an litashqa. That's why some said Taha is the name of the Prophet ﷺ, even though others said no, it's just two letters like the rest of the letters. But Taha is one of the names, right? That's same with some ayat in Surah Al-Ahzab, talking to the Prophet ﷺ specifically also. Yeah. But yeah, the promise is here. Yeah. وَلَسَوْفَ يُعْطِيكَ رَبُّكَ فَتَرْضَى. Sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam.
It's also normally associated, well,
wealth.
If you're seeking for
وجدك عائلا فأغنى. All right.
Reciting these two verses is sort of gives some barakah, I think so.
It gives يعني strength
Strength.
and confidence to to the Muslim, absolutely, when he reads these things. Anything else? الحمد لله. بارك الله فيكم. سبحانك اللهم وبحمدك نشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت نستغفرك ونتوب إليك.